Mira stood outside the repair shed of Base 9, a small human colony on the edge of planet Olen 3. The sky above her was a soft purple, with two suns hiding behind gray clouds. Mira wore a light spacesuit and carried her toolkit. She had just finished fixing a power panel when her radio made a loud noise. Warning: unknown object falling from orbit. Possible crash site. Sector 7, said the voice. Mira looked toward the north. A red light crossed the sky, moving fast. Then a loud sound filled the air. Boom! The ground shook a little. A small cloud of smoke appeared far away. Without waiting, Mira jumped on her hoverbike and drove toward the crash. It took her 20 minutes to reach the spot. Smoke rose from a small valley. In the middle of the black rocks, she saw a tiny silver shuttle, broken and half buried in the dirt. It was not human-made. The shape was strange, round and smooth, like a pebble. She walked closer and called out, "Is anyone inside? Hello?" No answer. She scanned the ship. Life signs. Weak, but still there. Mira used her cutter to open a side door. Inside, she saw something small lying on the floor. At first, she thought it was a doll. But then, it moved. The creature was no bigger than a house cat. Its body was soft and glowing slightly. It had smooth, shiny skin like glass and two big eyes that blinked slowly. It looked hurt. Mira bent down. "Hey there, can you hear me?" The creature's mouth moved. A tiny voice came out, weak but clear. "Human, I can't move." Mira gently lifted it. It was light, like a feather. The creature groaned in pain. Gravity, heavy. My body, not ready. Mira placed it in a soft bag and rushed back to Base 9. Back at her lab, she placed the small alien on a padded table. Her lab was clean and quiet. Soft lights helped the creature relax. She used a translator device to help him speak more clearly. After a few minutes, the creature opened its eyes again. "You helped me," it said softly. "Yes," Mira nodded. "You crashed near here. I brought you back. What's your name?" "I am Tilo," it said, "from the planet Zern." "Nice to meet you, Tilo," she smiled. "I'm Mira. You're safe now." Tilo tried to sit up, but his body trembled. "My body and organs, too small, not made for this world." Mira placed a hand near him without touching. "You don't need to move, just rest. I'll help you." That night, Mira stayed beside Tilo. She searched the human database and found a few notes about Zern. It was a peaceful planet with low gravity and soft winds. The people of Zern were gentle and quiet, not used to strong emotions or fast movements. Tilo's heart beat slowly. His body was made for light touch, soft light, and calm air, but Olen 3 was a wild place. The gravity was heavier. The weather changed fast. Humans wore suits and used machines just to stay alive here. No wonder Tilo said he wasn't ready. In the morning, Mira brought a small floating chair she had designed for drones. She added soft padding and a low-energy shield to help Tilo move, without pain. "I made this for you," she said. Tilo blinked. "For me?" "Yes. Try it." With care, she helped him into the chair. It floated a few inches off the ground. Tilo gasped. "It doesn't hurt." Mira smiled. "Good. Now you can move around the lab." Tilo slowly moved the chair forward. He looked around, seeing machines, wires, and human tools. Everything was big to him. Even a coffee mug looked like a giant bowl. "How do humans live like this?" he asked. Mira laughed softly. "We're used to it, but don't worry. You don't need to be like us." Later, other workers from Base 9 came to visit. They were curious but kind. Tilo hid behind Mira's desk. Their voices were loud. Their boots made heavy sounds on the floor. "Are they all like this?" he whispered. "Not all." "Just excited to meet someone new," Mira said. Tilo looked at his small hands. "I don't belong here. My organs, too small, my skin too soft. I will never be strong like humans. Mira leaned closer. You don't need big muscles to be strong. There are other kinds of strength. Tilo tilted his head. Like what? Like helping someone even when you're scared. Like surviving a crash and still trying. Like learning something new. That's strength, too. Tilo looked at her quietly. For the first time, he didn't feel afraid. That evening, Tilo sat near the window in his chair, looking up at the twin moons of Olin 3. He spoke slowly. Back home, we never touch the ground. We float in gentle air. We don't raise our voices. We don't feel big emotions. But here, everything is so loud, so fast, so heavy. Mira sat beside him. Humans had to be strong to survive Earth. That's why we feel so much. We cry, we laugh, we fight storms. But we also help. Tilo nodded. I think I understand, but I'm still not ready. Mira said, That's okay. No one is ready at first. Even I wasn't ready when I came here. We learn. Together. Tilo looked at her. Her face was kind, her voice calm. Maybe, just maybe, he could learn too. Tilo slowly floated around Mira's lab in the small chair she made for him. It hummed softly under his weight. His skin still glowed a little, but his voice was stronger now. Every day, Mira checked his health and gave him light energy food, made from soft fruits and clear water. But even as his body healed, Tilo's heart was still full of doubt. Mira noticed it one morning. She was fixing a broken water line near the west wall of the base. Tools were spread around her. She wiped sweat from her forehead and looked back at Tilo, who was floating nearby, watching quietly. You okay? She asked. Tilo nodded slowly. I'm watching, trying to learn. You want to help? Tilo looked down at his hands. They were small, thin, and soft. He moved one finger gently. I am not built for this. My bones are weak. I cannot lift things. I cannot run. I get tired just by thinking too much. Mira gave a soft smile. Then start small. Even small help is still help. Tilo didn't answer. That night, while Mira was sleeping, Tilo floated near the computer screen. He used the translator to search for information about humans. He saw images of tall cities, flying ships, and people building great machines. He also saw old pictures of humans walking in snow, fighting storms, planting food, and working together. They fell. They got back up. Again and again. Tilo blinked slowly. Why do they keep trying? He whispered to himself. Then he saw something else. A small video clip showed a human child, no older than 5 years, learning to walk. She fell many times, but each time she smiled and got back up. Tilo whispered, Even their young ones. Try so hard. The next morning, Tilo asked, Can I try helping today? Mira looked surprised, then nodded happily. Of course. She gave him a small task, guiding a repair bot to check for cracks in the base walls. Tilo connected his chair to the bot's system and gave instructions. He smiled when it worked. I did something, Mira clapped. You did great. After that, Tilo began to help more. He gave energy readings. He cleaned sensor lenses. He even learned how to heat water for tea. The other humans began to greet him with soft voices and friendly waves. Still, when he was alone, Tilo whispered the same words again and again. My body and organ is too small to handle this. I'm not ready yet. One afternoon, a big sandstorm hit Olin 3. The sky turned yellow and the wind made loud sounds across the base. Mira stayed near the windows to watch for damage. A loud beep came from her tablet. Power Unit 3 is unstable, she said quickly. I need to go out and check it. Tilo floated in front of her. No, it's too dangerous. Mira smiled. I'll wear my suit. I'll be okay. He looked at her with wide eyes. You are not afraid? I'm used to storms. I trust my training. Tilo wanted to say something. Instead, he floated back to the corner and watched. Through the window, he saw Mira walking into the storm. Her suit was strong, but the wind pushed her hard. He felt helpless again. I wish I was like her, he whispered. But I'm not. Mira came back safe after 20 minutes. She took off her helmet and smiled. Unit is fixed. Tilo floated close to her. Why do you do these things? Why not let someone else go? Because I'm part of the team, she said. If something needs to be done, we help each other. Tilo looked down. I want to help more, but I feel like I don't belong. Mira sat beside him. Do you know the first time I came to Olin 3, I cried in my room for 2 days? You did? He asked in surprise. Yes, she said with a laugh. The gravity was heavy, the wind was scary, everything felt wrong. I thought, I'm not built for this, but I stayed. I learned. And slowly, I changed. Tilo looked at her. So, it's normal to feel like this? Very normal, Mira said. It means you are growing. In the following days, Mira gave Tilo a special project. The base had a small garden dome where humans grew vegetables, but some of the plants weren't growing well. She asked Tilo to help study them. Tilo spent hours looking at the roots and soil, using tiny tools Mira gave him. He took notes, measured light levels, and changed the water timing. 3 days later, the plants looked better. You saved the tomatoes, Mira said with a big smile. Tilo blinked. Tomatoes? Yes, red fruit. Humans love them, she laughed. Tilo smiled too. Maybe I can help in small ways. Mira nodded. And small ways can lead to big things. One evening, Tilo floated outside the lab under the twin moons. He looked up at the stars, thinking about Zern, his home. We never had storms like here, he whispered. We lived in quiet, no pain, no big feelings. He closed his eyes. But here, everything is strong. Even sadness is strong. Even fear. Mira stood beside him. And even joy is strong. Tilo nodded. Yes, even joy. He looked at his hands again. They were still small. His body was still weak. But something inside felt different. After helping in the garden, fixing drone paths, and learning how water systems worked, Tilo felt more useful. But deep down, he still wondered how humans became so strong. Not just their bodies, but their hearts, their minds. So he asked Mira, that day, why are humans so powerful, even when they are hurt? Mira looked up from her tablet. What do you mean? You fall. You break things. You lose people. But you keep trying. You always get back up. Why? Mira closed her tablet and smiled. That's a big question, but I think the answer is simple, because we choose to. Tilo blinked. Choose? Yes. We're not the fastest or the strongest in the galaxy. But we survive because we never give up. Mira took Tilo to the base's learning room. Inside were screens, books, and old videos from Earth. Let me show you something, she said. She played a video showing early human explorers walking through snow and storms, building shelters from trees, and starting fires with stones. Some had nothing, but still they smiled, sang songs, and helped each other. Tilo watched closely. They lived like that? Mira nodded. Long ago, yes. Earth was hard, but humans didn't stop. They grew stronger every time they failed. Then, Mira showed him another video, scientists landing on Earth's moon, flying through space, building large stations. From caves to stars, she said proudly. Tilo stared at the screen. But how? Their bodies were like mine in the beginning, weak, slow. Mira looked at him. Because they believed they could do more, even when no one else believed. Later, Mira gave Tilo a small data chip. This has books from Earth, she said. Stories, History, poems, read them when you can. They might help you understand us better. Tilo thanked her and went to the garden dome where it was quiet. He floated near the tomato plants he had saved. The smell of fresh leaves calmed him. He placed the chip into his translator. The first story was about a blind girl who learned to read using her fingers. The second was about a man with no legs who climbed a tall mountain using his hands. The third told of a group of people who saved others during a storm, even though they were scared. Tilo's eyes grew wide with each word. "This is the human secret," he whispered. "You are strong not because of your bodies, but because of your hearts." That evening, he shared his thoughts with Mira. "You always speak about machines, tools, and training," he said, "but that is not your true power." Mira looked curious. "Then what is it?" "Your power," Tilo said slowly, "is that you feel everything and still go on." Mira was silent for a moment, then smiled. "That's one of the best things anyone has ever said about us." Tilo looked away. "I don't think I can be like that. Not yet." Mira replied, "You don't have to be human to be strong like us. You just have to keep trying, like you already are." The next day, a small emergency happened in the base. One of the cleaning bots got stuck inside a vent and started spinning. Mira was busy repairing a communication line, and other workers were far away. Tilo floated near the vent and looked inside. "I'm small enough," he whispered. He took a deep breath, connected his chair to the wall, and slowly floated into the vent. It was tight, dark, and a little scary. The air felt warm. The bot was buzzing loudly, stuck between two pipes. Tilo calmed his heart and spoke gently to the bot's system. "Quiet now. I'll help you." He pushed a small button and moved a wire. The bot stopped spinning. Slowly, Tilo pulled it free. When he came out, Mira was waiting for him. "You did that?" she asked. Tilo nodded. "You went inside the vent all by yourself?" "Yes." Mira smiled wide. "You're becoming more ready than you think." That night, Mira and Tilo sat outside under the sky dome. "You saved that bot today," Mira said. "You didn't wait. You didn't run. You saw a problem and solved it." Tilo looked at his small hands. "It was a small task." "No," Mira said. "You made a choice. That's the first step toward true strength." Tilo said nothing. He just looked up at the stars. A few days later, Mira gave him a gift, a tiny badge shaped like a star. "What is this?" Tilo asked. "It's what humans give to people who help others," she said. "You've earned it." Tilo held the badge close. His chest felt warm. "I don't have a strong body," he said softly, "but maybe I'm starting to have a strong heart." Mira smiled. "That matters more than anything else." Before going to rest, Tilo floated near the window again. He looked out at the stars and pressed a small button on his chair. A blue light blinked. A message started recording. "To the people of Zern, I have seen something amazing. Humans may look large and loud, but inside they carry light just like us. Their world is heavy, yet they move. Their feelings are strong, yet they stay kind. They fall, yet always stand again. I have learned their secret, and now I will try to carry it too." He ended the message with one quiet word: hope. One quiet afternoon, Tilo floated in the control room, watching small lights blink across the main screen. Mira sat nearby, checking the power readings from the garden dome. Everything seemed peaceful inside Base 9. Outside, Olen 3's twin suns were hidden behind thick gray clouds. The wind was light, and the colony felt calm. But peace didn't last long. Suddenly, the base's warning light turned red. A sharp sound echoed through the room. "Beep! Beep! Beep!" Mira jumped to her feet. "Unknown signal, coming from deep space!" Tilo's chair tilted with surprise. What kind of signal? Mira typed fast on the screen. It's not from any known human ship. Not from your people either. She looked at the data. The signal was repeating the same strange sound over and over. It wasn't in any language the base system could understand. Tilo floated closer. May I try to translate it? Mira nodded. Please do. You might see something we don't. Tilo connected his chair to the base computer. His glowing fingers moved gently across the data lines. He listened closely to the signal, then slowed it down. As he worked, the strange sound began to shift. First, it sounded like wind, then like metal scraping, but after a few minutes it became clear. A voice. Deep, rumbling voice in a broken form of galactic speech. Tilo's small face became pale. What is it? Mira asked. Tilo looked at her with wide eyes. It's a warning. He played the message aloud. We are the Rythons. We pass through stars. We take what we need. Your world is next. Prepare to surrender or be broken. Mira frowned. Rythons? Tilo nodded. I've heard of them. They don't talk. They take. They have no homes. They travel from planet to planet using force. No friendship, no peace. Mira stood up. How far are they? Tilo checked the map. If their ship moves fast, maybe 2 or 3 days. That night, the whole base held a meeting. There were only 12 people in Base 9, and most were scientists and engineers, not fighters. Mira stood in front of the others. We can't leave yet. The transport ship won't arrive for another 5 days. One worker said. Then we're trapped. Another asked, do we even have weapons? Mira shook her head. Just defense shields and small drones. Tilo floated forward. We don't have to fight like them. Maybe we can use our minds. Mira looked at him. You think we can stop them? Tilo said quietly. I think we must try. Over the next 2 days, Mira and Tilo worked day and night. Tilo studied the Rythan signal more and found weak points in their ship design. Rythans used large engines that made their ships fast, but easy to overload. If the team could send the right pulse signal, it might shut down their system for a short time. Mira used this idea and began programming the pulse. Meanwhile, the others strengthened the shields, hid the power cores, and moved key systems underground. Everyone worked together. No one gave up. Tilo was amazed. One morning, while fixing a drone, Tilo looked at Mira. You don't even know if we'll win. Yet you still smile. Mira looked up and said, because I believe in us, and I believe in you. Tilo blinked. Me? You gave us the warning. You're helping with the signal. You've done more than you know. Tilo looked down. Even though I'm small, especially because you're small, you see what we don't. You think in ways we never thought of. Tilo's glow grew a little brighter. Maybe he was ready for this. The next evening, the Rythans arrived. Their ship was dark, with red lights across its body. It floated above Olin 3's sky like a giant shadow. No message came, no greeting, just silence. Then a new signal was received. Time is over. Give us your base or be destroyed. Mira didn't answer. Instead, she looked at Tilo. Ready? Tilo gave a small nod. Let's try. The base sent the pulse signal toward the Rythan ship. Nothing happened for 5 seconds. Then suddenly, lights across the enemy ship turned off. Mira smiled. It's working. But the joy was short. A small Rythan fighter ship broke free from the larger one. It moved quickly toward Base 9. Its weapons started to charge. We have 10 seconds before impact, one worker shouted. Tilo floated fast to the control panel. Give me access to the drones. Mira nodded. Do what you need. Tilo took control of 4 defense drones. They were small but fast. He sent them toward the incoming ship. The drones flew around the enemy, spinning and shining bright lights to confuse its systems. Then, Tilo used a trick he had seen in the human books. He made the drones fly into the small holes of the fighter's vents. The Rithan fighter started shaking. Its weapons turned off. It flew off course and crashed far from the base. No explosion, no lives lost. The base was safe. For now. Inside the control room, everyone cheered. Mira ran to Tilo. "You did it!" Tilo looked tired, but his eyes were bright. "We did it," Mira smiled. "You stopped a war without a single weapon. That's real strength." Tilo whispered, "Maybe I'm ready now." Later that night, the stars returned to the sky. The Rathan ship, still disabled, floated quietly. No more threats came. A larger human ship would arrive soon to take over. Tilo sat beside Mira in the garden dome. "You saved this base," she said. Tilo shook his head. "You all saved it. I only played a small part." "Sometimes," Mira said, "the smallest part is the most important." Tilo smiled gently. His body was still small. His organs were still soft. But now, inside him, he carried something new, belief. The sun was low in the sky of Olin 3. The wind had picked up, and small waves of dust danced across the rocky ground. Inside Base 9, everything looked calm. But Mira and the others were tense. The Rythan mothership still floated above the planet, silent, but watching. Their smaller ship had crashed the day before, thanks to Tilo's quick thinking, but no one knew what the Rithons would do next. Tilo floated quietly near the window, watching the sky. "They are still there," he whispered. "Waiting." Mira stood beside him. "Yes, but we are ready this time." That evening, the warning lights blinked red again. "Another signal," shouted one of the workers. "They're coming, this time in full force." 3 small Rithan ships broke away from the main mothership. They moved fast, low and close to the ground. The base shields went up, but they wouldn't last long against a direct attack. Inside the control room, everyone prepared for the worst. Mira turned to the team. "No one runs. We stay calm. Tilo, can you guide the drones again?" Tilo nodded, though his small hands trembled. "Yes, I'll try." Tilo took control of the base's 6 defense drones. He breathed deeply and focused. The Rithan ships were larger than before, heavier, louder, stronger. "This is not like last time," he said quietly. Mira looked at him. "That's okay. We have you this time." The first Rithan ship fired at the outer wall. The shield took the hit, but power dropped by 20%. The second ship flew above the dome, scanning for weak points. The third hovered near the entrance. "Only have a few minutes," Mira said. Tilo's chair floated forward. "I have an idea, but it's dangerous." Tilo opened the drone control system and programmed a mirror signal, using the same energy wave that had disabled the Rithan ship earlier. "But this time," he said, "I will send it from outside, close to them." Mira turned sharply. "Outside? It's too risky. I can fly fast. They won't see me." Mira looked at his small, glowing body, then at the ships outside. "Tilo, no! You don't have to do this." Tilo's voice was calm. "I'm small. I can get close. My body may be weak, but this is something only I can do." Mira looked into his eyes. Then she nodded. The airlock opened, and the soft wind of Olin 3 brushed against Tilo's face. He was strapped into a tiny flight pod, made for drones, but just big enough for him. His pulse was fast, but his mind was clear. He flew low beneath the view of the enemy ships. Above, the sky was darker than usual. The shadow of the Rythan mothership loomed large. Tilo reached the right spot and activated the mirror signal. A beam of blue light shot into the sky, small but strong. The Rythan ships paused. Their systems blinked. Then, buzzing, their signals went wild. Lights flashed. 2 ships turned off completely and crashed far from the base, softly without explosion. The third ship tried to shoot, but missed. Its aim was broken. Inside the base, everyone cheered. Mira shouted through the comms, "Come back, Tilo!" But Tilo didn't answer. Inside his pod, Tilo felt weak. His body was shaking. The energy from the signal was too much for him. "My body, too small," he whispered. "I'm not ready for this." He pressed one button with his last bit of strength. An emergency return code. The pod turned and flew back toward the base. Inside the control room, Mira's heart raced. "Open the hangar! He's coming back!" The small pod landed safely, but it didn't move. Mira ran to it. The doors opened. Tilo lay inside, quiet, eyes closed. "Call the med team!" Mira shouted. She gently lifted him out and placed him on a soft pad. His glow was very faint now. Mira held his small hand. "Tilo, can you hear me?" After a long moment, Tilo's eyes opened just a little. "I'm sorry," he said. "I wanted to be strong, but I think my body failed." Mira had tears in her eyes. "No, you didn't fail. You saved us again. You were brave. That's the strongest thing anyone can be." Tilo gave a weak smile. "I'm glad I helped, even just a little." Tilo rested for 2 full days. The base stayed alert, but the Rithan mothership didn't attack again. Their small ships were gone. Their signal stopped. It seemed they were watching, but afraid to try more. The human transport ship was on its way. Mira stayed by Tilo's side every day, reading stories from Earth and telling him about the stars. One evening, he finally sat up again. "Still here?" he asked with a smile. "Of course," Mira replied. "You're not getting rid of me that easily." Later that week, the big human ship arrived. Strong, fast, and full of support teams. The Rithan mothership left without a fight. Peace returned to Olin 3. Inside Base 9, the workers cleaned, repaired, and laughed again. But this time, something had changed. They didn't just see Tilo as a guest anymore. He was now part of the team. One day, a celebration was held in the garden dome. New fruits had grown. Music played softly. Everyone was smiling. Mira stood in the middle and held up a small medal. "This," she said, "is for someone who reminded us that size doesn't matter. Organs don't matter. What matters is the heart, the courage to help others, the spirit to stand up, even when afraid." She walked over to Tilo and pinned the medal to his small robe. Everyone clapped. Tilo looked up at her, eyes shining. "I thought I was too small for this world," he said. Mira knelt down. "And now?" Tilo smiled. "Now I know I belong." That night, Tilo sat under the stars. He looked at the sky, at the place where the Rithans had come from. He didn't feel fear anymore. He felt hope. After the Rithan threat was gone, Base 9 slowly returned to normal. Repairs were finished, the shields were upgraded, and the garden dome was now full of fresh food and sweet-smelling plants. Tilo was stronger now. He no longer needed extra rest during the day. His glow had returned to full brightness. He smiled more, laughed louder, and even helped the repair teams. Mira noticed something else. Tilo had started exploring the far rocks near the mountain, where the first Rithan ship had fallen. He went there every morning, and every time he returned quiet, thoughtful. One day Mira followed him. Tilo floated low near the edge of a large flat rock. It had strange carvings on it, long lines, round shapes, and a circle in the center that looked like an eye. He didn't see Mira at first. He touched the carving softly, his fingers glowing just a little. Then Mira spoke. "Tilo, what are you doing here every day?" Tilo turned. He didn't look surprised. "I think this rock is not just a rock." Mira raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" Tilo looked at her and said, "I think it's a door." Mira walked closer and ran her Hand along the stone. It was smooth, cold, and had tiny lights deep inside. "It doesn't look human-made," she said. "It's not," Tilo replied. "It's old. Older than this base. Maybe older than the Rithans." They stared at it together. "But how do you know it's a door?" Mira asked. Tilo smiled a little. "Because when I touch this part," he pressed his fingers on the circle, "I feel something calling." Mira looked serious now. "Calling?" Tilo nodded. "A voice, not words, but feelings like, 'Come in, it's time.'" Mira called a science team to study the stone. They brought tools and scanners, but none of them worked. "It blocks all signals," said one of the workers. "Even light waves bounce off strangely." Then Tilo stepped forward again. "Maybe it needs a key," he said softly. Everyone watched as Tilo pressed his hand to the circle again. This time, the carvings lit up. One by one, the lines glowed blue, then green, then white, then click. The rock split open, slowly sliding to the side. Inside was a dark tunnel. Everyone stood still. Even the wind stopped. Mira looked at Tilo. "Are you sure about this?" Tilo's face was calm. "I feel safe. It wants to be found." Mira nodded. "Then we go together." She, Tilo, and two more explorers walked into the tunnel. It was smooth and dry, but the air felt thick, like it hadn't moved in thousands of years. Tiny lights turned on as they moved deeper. Finally, they reached a wide room. In the middle stood a glowing crystal, floating above a stone table. It pulsed, slowly, like a heartbeat. Tilo stepped forward. The crystal turned brighter. "This is it," he whispered. "This is what the Rithans wanted." Mira stepped beside him. "What is it?" Tilo didn't answer at first. He just stared at it, eyes wide. Then he said, "It's knowledge, memory, a message." He reached out and touched it. A burst of light filled the room. Everyone closed their eyes. When they opened them again, the crystal had changed. It showed moving images in the air, like a floating video, but it wasn't from any camera. It was a memory of a lost alien race, a race that once lived on Olen 3. They were small like Tilo, peaceful and bright. But they were not from here either. They had traveled across space, planting seeds of life. They left this crystal as a gift for whoever found it. And in their message they warned, "We left before the darkness came. Be ready." It still follows. Mira stared at the words. "Darkness?" she asked. "What does that mean?" The crystal showed one last image, a black wave moving across space, swallowing stars, planets, ships. Tilo's glow dimmed a little. "It's not the Rithans," he said. "It's something bigger, something worse." The room became silent again. They returned to Base 9 and locked the tunnel behind them. The crystal was moved with great care and placed in a special chamber, guarded and studied. That night, Mira sat with Tilo near the garden. "You did it again," she said. "You opened something no one else could." Tilo looked up. "Maybe I was meant to. Maybe my kind was always part of this puzzle." Mira smiled. "Then we better solve it, before the darkness finds us." Back in space, far beyond the stars, a small black dot moved in silence. No sound, no light, just hunger. It was coming. Ravi sat in the pilot seat of his old ship, Terra Blue. The stars outside looked calm, and the space around him was quiet. Too quiet. He was flying through a forgotten part of the galaxy, far from the busy trade routes. Ravi liked these places. They were empty, but sometimes he found abandoned ships, old ones, lost ones. And if he was lucky, ships filled with useful things he could fix or sell. Suddenly, his screen blinked. "Unidentified ship detected, drifting." Ravi leaned forward. "Interesting," he said to himself. He checked the signal. The ship was not moving. It had no engine power, but it was still there, floating like a ghost. He turned the controls and slowly flew closer. The ship was long and dark gray. It looked damaged, like it had been through a hard time. Some of its metal plates were bent. One side had burn marks, but the doors were still shut and the inside looked sealed. Ravi scanned it again. No life signs, no defense systems, no response. "Looks safe," he whispered. He connected his ship to it and put on his light jacket, just in case. Then he walked through the connecting tunnel and entered the strange ship. Inside, it was cold and quiet. The lights were off, but Ravi had a small torch in his hand. The air smelled strange, like old metal and dust. He walked down the hallway. Everything looked empty, but then he saw something that made him stop. Cages. Long metal cages were fixed to the walls. Some were open, some were closed. Most were empty, but not all. Old food bowls, torn clothes, scratched floor panels. Ravi's face became serious. This was a slave transport, he said softly. He hated these kinds of ships. Even though it was not allowed anymore in most places, some groups still used ships like this, quiet, hidden ones. They took living beings and sold them far away. He moved to the front control room and started the ship's terminal. It was locked, but Ravi was good with machines. He pressed a few buttons, connected his small hacking tool, and waited. After a minute, the system opened. Ravi looked through the files. Most of the data was old. Routes, supply lists, cage numbers. One note caught his eye. "Cage 12, subject still alive, unknown species, untrained." He checked the map. Cage 12 was at the very back of the ship. Without wasting time, Ravi ran back through the dark hallways. He passed the empty cages, one by one. Finally, he reached the last room. There it was, Cage 12. Inside, something moved. Ravi stepped closer and lifted his light. It was a small figure, curled in the corner. Long white ears, soft fur, thin arms holding her knees. She looked young, maybe just a little older than a teenager. Her eyes were closed. She opened them slowly, blinking at the light. Ravi stepped back a little. He didn't want to scare her. "It's okay," he said gently. "I'm not here to hurt you." The girl stared at him. Her eyes were big and shiny. Her ears twitched once, but she didn't speak. Ravi kneeled and opened the control panel on the cage. The lock was simple, 2 wires and a pin. Click. The door opened with a soft sound. The girl didn't move. Ravi took a step back. "You're free," he said. "You don't have to stay here." She looked at the open door, then at him. Her fingers moved slowly, like she didn't believe it. Ravi smiled and held out a water bottle. "Come on," he said. "Let's get out of here." Back on Terra Blue, Ravi gave the girl a blanket, some fruit pieces, and water. She sat on the floor near the wall. She still didn't speak, but she watched him carefully. Ravi tried to make things easy. He spoke slowly. He smiled. He showed her that he had no weapons. After a while, she touched the fruit and tasted it. Then she looked up. Her voice was soft, but clear. "Luma." Ravi blinked. "Your name?" She nodded slowly. "Luma." He smiled. "Nice to meet you." "Luma, I'm Ravi." Luma touched her chest. "Luma." Then she pointed at him. "Ravi." "Yes," he said. She smiled a little. It was small, but real. Later, Ravi checked the systems and undocked from the slave ship. He set it to drift away into a nearby sun. That ship didn't deserve to stay in space. Back in the pilot seat, Ravi looked at the stars ahead. Then he looked at Luma, who was now resting in a soft chair, her ears folded down, her eyes half closed. He thought for a moment. He didn't know who she really was, or where she came from, but he knew one thing for sure. He was not going to leave her behind.